What's up guys, it's Hasban12 and welcome to my 2019-20 Premier League predictions video. I did this exact same video last year and I got 5 exactly right and 7 one off the correct position. So I think pretty much 12 exact predictions, and that's pretty good going. And make sure you give your own thoughts on this video down in the comments if you agree or even disagree with my opinions. We all have our own opinions, so make sure you let me know down in the comments. Now, I will be doing a reaction video, of course, to this video at the end of the season. There will be some forfeits involved depending on how badly I do, so make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss that video. So starting things off, the team I think is going to finish last in the 2019-20 Premier League season is Norwich City. Now, I'm sure all the avid Canary fans are already prepping their keyboard, ready to say, we won the championship last season, why are we going to finish last? Well, in 2014, Cardiff City won it and went straight back down the following season, so winning the championship doesn't 100% guarantee safety. Norwich also have a very difficult start to the season. In their first 5 fixtures, they're facing Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea and West Ham. Not an ideal start if you ask me. They have spent just under £4 million in total in the whole transfer window, which is far, far less than even the other 2 promoted teams. They needed to invest a little bit more. And despite Pukki scoring an impressive 29 goals in the Championship last season, I'm just not 100% convinced he will be able to replicate anywhere near that in the Premier League. So I think they'll struggle for goals next season. I don't think they'll go down without a fight, but I think the fight will just be a little too much for them. So that's why I think Norwich will finish last. The second team I predicted to suffer from Premier League relegation is the mighty Burnley. 2 seasons ago, they had one of the most formidable defences in the whole Premier League, but that sort of tailed away a bit. I'm not sure why last season, and they didn't sign any extra defenders in this window. So I feel like the same thing might happen, and obviously they struggle for goals and they can't really sign anyone because they don't have much to spend, which does show what a great job Dyke has done with them. Yes, they did bring back Jay Rodriguez, but is he going to get you a relegation saving 10, 15 goals a season? Probably not. So no matter how many worms Sean Dyke eats, I don't think he's going to be able to save Burnley from relegation. So the last team I think is going to get relegated is Southampton, and this might come as a bit of a surprise. It was a very difficult decision between Saints and the team that I predicted just above them, between which one I thought would be relegated. And to be honest, I'm still not 100% sure on which one will, but I've gone for Southampton. And the reason I went for the Saints is because they didn't really spend that much, and most of their budget did go on Danny Ings. Apart from James Ward-Prowse's incredible free kick ability, goals will be hard to come by for Southampton unless Adam somehow replicates his form from the Championship or Danny Ings doesn't get injured. Highly unlikely. So the team I think that's going to finish just above the relegation zone is Brighton, and my granddad supports them, so my family and I would hate to see them go down. Although unfortunately I feel like I might get this one wrong and I'm being a bit too keen just because I have some love for Brighton. I feel like they could go down. You signed Trossard and Mupai, but you did let go of Anthony Knockaert, who was probably your most prized asset last season in the Premier League. You also let go of Chris Hughton. Those 2 losses could prove to be very, very fatal in your Premier League season, but I feel like you might just have enough fight in you to just avoid relegation. Finish above the Seagulls, I've gone for Sheffield United, and this is probably the team that most people have tipped to go down and even maybe finish bottom of the league. So let me explain. I believe Chris Wilder is a very underrated manager, and he'll make the Blades just not very fun to play against. Jagielka's return will give them much needed experience at the back. Moussa from Bournemouth will give them a good outlet on the wing. However, there is one signing that I cannot wait to see back in the Premier League, and his name is Rafa Morrison. As a United fan myself, I know how much quality this guy has on his day. We all know Rafa Morrison, and he could either have an incredible season or never turn up for training. You just don't know. But I feel like he may have learned his lesson, and he has something to prove this season in the Premier League. So I think they have enough power up front to avoid relegation, and I could actually get it wrong and they could finish higher. Next up in 15th, we have Crystal Palace. Firstly, I want to thank you Palace fans for Wan-Bissaka. Literally no one can get past him. Anyway, at the time of recording this, there's still a day and a bit left of the transfer window, so Zaha can leave. And I feel like if Zaha does leave, Palace will go down. But as it stands, Zaha is still a Palace player. So I think with that asset in their team, they'll stay up. So if you keep Zaha, I just can't see Roy Hodgson getting relegated. And I wouldn't want him to get relegated because the atmosphere at Selhurst Park is electric. So now we have the beloved Newcastle in 14th. And this is actually my granddad's second team. So again, my family would hate to see them go down. Yes, Benitez has gone. Yes, Perez has gone. But the passion Rafa put into these players, I just don't think can go straight away. Lascelles is still there to head in every single one of Richie's crosses. Longstaff held off United interest to stay at Newcastle, and Jonjo Shelvey is ready to break someone's leg. So Maximin looks a good addition, but he does need to work on his shooting, but that's okay because Joelinton is in there, also a new signing, and he'll bang in goals for fun. 13th place, I've gone for the final promoted team at Aston Villa. So why have I predicted them so high off the drop zone? Villa are one of England's biggest clubs, and due to their transfer activity, they clearly want to stay where they belong. Tyrone Mings for 20 million looks an absolute steal. I remember how good he was when United faced Bournemouth. He literally won everything in the air. Very frustrating. Matt Targett from Southampton also looks one for the future, a very solid left back, and Tom Eaton is a quality keeper from Burnley, and he has a lot of Premier League experience. And this isn't even mentioning their other signings, Douglas Luiz, Trezeguet and Wesley. And of course, Jack Grealish is already there. He almost went to Tottenham. They have a lot of quality in their team. So 13th, I think, is about right. Hopefully, I don't get it wrong. Speaking of Tyrone Mings, we now have his former club of Bournemouth in 12th. Keeping Ryan Fraser is probably the best piece of business Bournemouth could have done the whole transfer window. He had the second most assists in the Premier League last season, just behind Eden Hazard by 1 assist. And I think he had the most chances created. You've got Callum Wilson down on a new contract. You've got Eddie Howe still at the club, who's a great manager. So I think I have no doubts that we'll see another classic Bournemouth season. High intensity games, lots of goals, some incredible victories against maybe even the top 6, and some heavy defeats. Moving up one place, we have Watford in 11th, and they actually had a very, very good season. Despite getting hammered 6-0 by Man City, right at the end of the final, they did have a good season. Yeah, sorry to remind you, Watford fans. It was actually earlier today they announced Welbeck on a free transfer. I think he'll be a class signing, and he'll be in front of the likes of Deulofeu, Will Hughes, Decore. They also added Craig Dawson to the defence, which was one of their weaknesses last season. So Watford fans, I think we're in for a good season. The first team I'm predicting to finish in the top half of the Premiership is West Ham, also known as the Hammers. Despite losing on Arnautovic to China, you've added Haller and Fornals, who look like they're ready just to light up the Premier League. Now add that to the likes of Yarmolenko, Lanzini, Felipe Anderson, in front of Declan Rice, Issa Diop, Aaron Questwell. You've got the experience of Mark Noble. They got some quality players. Now just reading those names out makes me think my prediction could well be wrong. You might even finish 2 or 3 places above that. Wouldn't be surprised. In 9th place, above West Ham, I'm predicting Wolves to have another brilliant season under Santo. As Wolves were every top 6 side's kryptonite last season, I don't see why they can't have a good Europa League run, which is why I'm not predicting them to finish above the likes of Everton and Leicester. I feel like the lure of Europe and the Europa League might distract them a bit, and rightly so. They should have a good Europa League run, but it might take some focus away from the Premier League. Getting Dendoncker and Jimenez down to permanent contracts was a must. Of course, they had to bring another Portuguese attacker. His name is Neto, obviously one for the future, and Coutron from Milan. It just adds their attacking talent. Very much looking forward to seeing Wolves tear it up again in the Premier League, unless of course they're facing Victor Lindelof and Slabhead. 8th place, I've gone for Leicester. Roger's got you playing such exciting football last season, and I think it will just continue. I think he's a perfect fit for Leicester. Brushing off interest from United for Yuri Tielemans, getting him down on a contract. I'm very, very jealous. He's going to be quality. Iozo Perez as well, brilliant signing. I'm sure he'll be latching onto the end of multiple James Maddison crosses. However, at the time of recording this video, United have stolen Harry Maguire from you, and it doesn't look like you're going to replace him. If you don't, I feel like this prediction will stand, but if you do, you could finish above Everton, who I predicted in 7th. Idrissa Gueye might prove to be a huge, huge loss for you, Everton fans. He had the most tackles last season. He was so underappreciated. It was like an unbreakable wall in front of your defence. But then you seem to have gone and replaced him with his identical twin in Gabamin. I think that's how you pronounce it. He looks literally identical, although not Premier League proven, but he does love a tackle. I think Fabian Delph will fit into your team well, add some Premier League experience coming from Man City. Just won the Premier League. Moise Kean looks a real threat up front with Sigurdsson in behind him, threading the ball through. That looks quite a lethal front too. And of course your manager is Marco Silva, and I think this year he's really going to push for Europe and Europa League. I don't think he'll get it, but I think he'll get very, very close. So 7th, I think, is right for Everton. So now we're moving into the big clubs. And for 6th place, the first top 6 side I'm going for is Chelsea. I think they're taking a huge gamble on Lampard, and yes, it can pay off, and I think the advantage for Lampard this season is he has no pressure on him, obviously due to the transfer ban. And I don't think Chelsea fans have quite understood how big of a loss Hazard actually is. He got them out of danger in so many games last season. It was so frustrating to watch as a United fan. It'll be like a 0-0, and in the 89th minute, Hazard will go past about 3 players, score an incredible goal. And yes, he's replaced him with Pulisic, but he's just not Eden Hazard. I could well be wrong in this prediction. They could have an incredible season and finish 2nd, 3rd, up there in the top 4. It's because Chelsea are just so inconsistent. One season they win it, and then the next season they finish about 9th in the Premier League. You just never know what's going to happen. But I think 6th is right on paper. For 5th, I predicted Arsenal, and 5th and 4th, you'll see the next team I say. It was so difficult to decide between them, and it decides on certain factors that I'll mention in a couple of minutes. Now, at the time of recording, it looks like Emery's going to line up in a 2-1-7 formation with the likes of Lacazette, Pepe and Aubameyang out front. Slabhead is going to get so dizzy. Yes, they have an incredible attack now, some brilliant additions, but you know that old saying? Attack wins you games, defence wins you titles, which I think is why they won't get in the top 4, because at the moment, they haven't signed any defenders, although this morning they were linked to Tierney and David Luiz. So I feel like that may change my prediction if those 2 deals go through. So then for 4th, I've gone for my beloved Man United. I might be a bit biased here because I do support them, but I'll try and explain my case best I can. The season will go one of 2 ways. We'll have a poor start, the feel-good factor is gone, Solskjaer's gone by Christmas, and it's all just disaster, and we'll finish 8th, 9th, very mid-table, and it will not be good. Or we'll scrape 4th in the end of the season, and it will be an incredible job by Solskjaer, because he hasn't been fully back to the transfer window. We still need to sign a midfielder. Again, the transfer window is not over while I'm recording this video, so we have been linked to Eriksen. Obviously, there's Bruno Fernandez. I just don't think we can get 4th without a midfielder. So as I said, if Arsenal sign some defenders, we do not sign a midfielder, I feel like Arsenal will get 4th, we'll get 5th, 6th, which just doesn't sound ideal at all. Just look at United's midfield. We lost Herrera and Fellaini. All right, Fellaini wasn't really going to start, but Herrera was our 2nd best midfielder. He's now gone. We're just going to let him go for free and not replace him. What's going to be our best midfield next season? Pogba, McSauce and Pereira. That's just not a top 4 Champions League midfield. I don't think we're going to get close to top 4. We have to sign a midfielder. So then for 3rd, I've gone for Tottenham. A midfield partnership of Sissoko and Ndombele reminds me of playing Bulldog at school when there's about 30 people lined up ready just to all send you to the floor. Spurs had a very good season last time out, and I feel like getting a taste of the Champions League final may spur them on to going all the way. I know you like that. And then for the Prem, I just can't see them finishing any higher than 3rd, which is still a very good finish. But Liverpool and City just have too much quality for them. I feel like they'll go all the way, they'll put the pressure on, and they'll just bottle it in the last 2 games. So now to the final 2 big places. Who do I think is going to win the 2019-20 Premier League season? As a Man United fan, choosing between Liverpool and City to win the league, probably not the best day of my life. However, I'm predicting Liverpool will come 2nd. However, had they signed some players in the transfer window, I would actually say Liverpool could go all the way and beat City to the title. For Liverpool, if Van Dijk gets injured, who are you replacing him with? Lovren? That's just not the same quality. Then you go to Man City. Fernandinho, if he gets injured, they just sign Rodri. And Salah, if he gets injured, they just don't have the same squad depth. Although Liverpool might get 0 injuries and completely prove me wrong and win the Prem. But I just don't think that's going to happen. But I do think Liverpool is still going to win some trophies this year, just not the Premier League. Now, therefore, that means I'm predicting Manchester City to win the Premier League for the 3rd season in a row. That was not an easy sentence to say. Despite me being a United fan and just praying and hoping a 3rd successive title retain doesn't happen, I don't see any reason why it won't. Literally no one in the Premier League can match City's quality and consistency. Liverpool comes very, very close, but as I said just before, their depth is nowhere near City's. Although there is an argument to say Guardiola might suffer from 3rd season syndrome, funny enough, get bored of winning the Premier League and focus on the Champions League. That is the end of my 2019-20 Premier League predictions video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully I haven't butchered your club too much. And if I have, let me know down in the comments and let me know your own predictions for the upcoming season. How excited you are to see Slabhead score an incredible header. Anyway, shout out to Toby for retweeting my tweet. Thank you very much for watching. Please like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new. In a bit.